Watonwan County Commissioner. Thank you to the sponsors for tonight's forum: United Cultures, St. James and Medelia Community Education, Medelia Times Messenger, St. James Plain Dealer, St. James Chamber, Medelia Chamber, and the St. James Community Building. We are taping the forum, and it will be broadcast on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday evenings at 8 p.m. on the St. James Cable Access Channel. In addition, we will be posting it on YouTube with the links posted on community websites and social media. The candidates running for election this year include, for Butterfield, incumbent Kathy Spallin and challenger Dylan Milheim. For St. James, incumbent running unopposed Jim Branstead. For Medelia, incumbent Ray Gustafson and challenger Jim Peterson. The format for this forum will be: the candidates will have the opportunity to introduce themselves and make a 1-minute opening statement. Candidates will be given a set of questions and have 1 1/2 minutes each for a response. Each section will close with the candidates able to make a 1-minute closing statement. So as we begin, please introduce yourself and indicate why you are running or seeking re-election as a Watonwan County Commissioner. Kathy, we'll start with you.
Good evening. My name is Kathleen or Kathy Spallin. I'm completing 2 terms as the District 5 Commissioner for the Butterfield Darfur. Actually, it's the L of the western portion of the county, from Darfur to Odin and then over to Long Lake. I've lived in Butterfield for about 50-some years now, worked at the Butterfield School for 40+ years, have been in the area for a long time, and have really enjoyed working on the board and with the board members that I've been privileged to work with these last 8 years. Feel that I still have something to give to the county and some things that I would like to see accomplished before I do finally retire. I live in Butterfield with my husband, Elwood. I have 2 children who live, one lives in Oakland, one in Rochester, Minnesota.
Thank you, Kathy. Dylan?
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dylan Milheim, running for District 5 County Commissioner. I've been a resident of rural Butterfield my entire life. I'm a full-time mechanic in town, and I farm with my dad. Farming is my passion, mechanicing is my passion. I like to fix things. I'm a tinkerer, and when I see things that need repair, I like to fix them. And I'm a previous employee of the Watonwan County Highway Department. I was a mechanic there for 4 years, and I took a lot of interest in the behind the scenes, everything that the commissioners do, and that's why I'm running. I feel like there's things that need to be addressed, and there's maybe some things that I don't fully understand, and I figure the best way to learn is run for commissioner. Like I work for now, I left on good terms at the county. I work for a small trucking operation right here in St. James, and I'd like to work for you guys. So, thank you.
Jim Branstead?
Hi, I'm Jim Branstead. I am the 3rd District Commissioner running for re-election. The 3rd District is actually Ward 1 of St. James, which is the west half of St. James. I've been on the board for 1 term, and I really appreciate what I've learned being on the board, and I feel that by being re-elected, I can bring something to the table because of my experience. I've had a number of other board positions over the years, serving on the school board and also on the Watonwan, or the St. James Community Hospital Board. And board work is kind of a passion for me. I enjoy it. I enjoy learning about what's going on in our community, what's going on in our county, and working with all the other commissioners to try to do what we can do to make things real good for Watonwan County. Thank you.
Jim Peterson?
Hi, Jim Peterson, and not to slight the Norwegian voters, I guess the technical pronunciation is Pedersen, which I don't do often enough. I've been a resident of Medelia my entire life. I've lived in town since 1985. I've been on the fire department. I'm retired. I was on that 20 years. I was mayor of Medelia for 8 years. I also served another 1 year, 7 months fill-in term for someone who had to resign, a council person. I think I could bring a lot to this board, and I just want to give the voters an option. Thank you.
And Ray?
District 1 representing the city of Medelia. I enjoyed being your county commissioner for the past 9 years. My passion is economic development. I think we have done an excellent job in Medelia while I've been county commissioner, and I would like to continue serving in that department. Thank you.
The first question will go to Kathy. We'll start with you. What do you see as the most pressing issue facing our county? What do you see as the most pressing issue facing our county?
Not that there are a lot of problems, but I just think that it's hard to say just one. I think that over the last 3-4 years, we've tried to address the road situation, both gravel and hard surface roads. I think probably bringing industry to our community so that we have to increase our tax base and to give the opportunity of employment to more people, to have them that are moving into our communities, I should say. Human services, health options. COVID has been a big thing that has hit everyone, including our county. Fortunately for CARES monies, we are able to put that to good use. And COVID has brought some things changes to how we do business to light. Other than that, I just think that there are problems that come up every day. Every time we have a meeting, what's on our agenda is not exactly what's on our agenda. There's always something brought to us. So it's hard for me to say what the most pressing issue would be at this moment.
Dylan, same question.
I would have to say some of our most pressing issues have been the roads. There's a lot of taxpayers out there that expect to see good quality roads, and things have gone on too long before the roads have been fixed up. A lot of our roads in District 5 got fixed up this summer, and they're great. I do have the feeling a little bit that maybe our roads were rushed a little bit on the project. They needed to be addressed, they needed to be done. I want to know what the lifespan on these roads are. That is a concern of mine. County Road 5 concrete going south out of Butterfield is breaking apart. That road's only 4 years old, 4 or 5 years old roughly, and that road's breaking apart. So I'm worried about what we've done with these new roads. How long are they going to last? I know there's other pressing issues, and I'll learn more about those pressing issues if I'm elected, and I'll have an opportunity to decide, what is more pressing. But that's what I see personally. Making sure that our roads are safe for travelers, and making sure our bridges and our tile systems are maintained and up to date. The farmers, the people of our community, they need to, they want to see that this stuff is repaired and taken care of. They're paying for this, so we got to make sure that we follow suit on that. We do need to get more business in our community. I don't know how we try to get more business in here, but if somebody's looking at this, we need to do everything in our power to make sure that we can have a business come to our community and our county. Thank you.
Jim Barnstead.
For me, I think the most pressing issue at the moment is our COVID-19 consequence. We were able to receive $1.3 million from the state of Minnesota by way of the federal government for COVID relief in our county. And I think it's appropriate that we spend that wisely and we make the most economic impact for our county by helping our businesses to survive through this period of time. We also will be using some of those dollars to make improvements within our county buildings that make it safer for not only our employees, but all of the residents of our county that come to the courthouse and to the Human Services building to access our services. So for me, that's probably the most important issue that we are dealing with at this time.
Jim Peterson.
I wouldn't disagree with the COVID-19 issue, but a lot of that we're at the mercy of the state, the federal, and happy to hear what you say, Jim, 1.7 billion?
1.3 million.
1.3 million, that was from the state and federal?
Well, it comes from the federal by way of the state.
Okay. Then, no, I'm happy glad to hear that you're spending that wisely. I think the most pressing issue is economic development. Because without businesses, without the people living here, it's hard to pay for the roads. It's hard to maintain anything. And I know no disrespect to our current commissioner, but maybe things have changed in recent years, but 4 years ago when we had the Medelia fire, I was actively involved in that. And we had to ask the county for help. The county didn't come to us. City of Medelia, the Flames weren't even out there asking what they could do to help us stay. The county, in fact, when we went, the original was voted to table it, the request for abatement. And I believe it passed when I received that last minute letter from the governor's office. And I'm hoping things have improved, but like I said, what I saw in the past, I think there's great room for improvement in economic development. I'd like to see more of that. Thank you.
Ray?
I think economic development is the most pressing issue. Graduate a lot of kids and they move away because there's just not jobs for them here. And if we could get more businesses to relocate to Watonwan County, we could improve our homes, we could improve our roads. Everything we'd have better schools. We'd just have more people to help pay taxes and support the county. And I've always been a big supporter of economic development. Thank you.
Dylan, we'll start this question with you. It's a two-part question. Do you believe that there are racial and social economic inequalities in our county? And if so, what are they? And if you believe that there are, what role should the county take in responding to the issues you identified?
Well, I worked at the county, like I said. I've worked with people of different races, and out there we had a pretty good bond. And the people that I worked with, we were good friends with them. So I personally don't know in my department that I was involved in if there was really any problem with racism or racial injustice or anything like that. I will say, if you're going to talk about equality, that it doesn't matter the race. Each person needs to be treated equally. Just because somebody's been in a position for 30 years doesn't mean that they're just entitled to do less or more, or if somebody's just starting out, that doesn't mean that they always have to be the grunt or anything like that. That's a touchy subject, and I like to believe if there's not a problem, don't go looking for one. That's my approach on that. Thank you.
Jim Branstad?
Repeat the question, please.
Well, it's two parts. Do you believe that there are racial and social economic inequalities in our county? And if so, what are they? If you believe that there are, what role should the county take in responding to the issues you identified?
Well, I definitely believe there are racial and economic inequalities. I don't know exactly how I would define it in such a short time span here, but the inequalities might exist in regard to the quality of pay that our Latino families are receiving as per maybe other families in the community. And I think the fact that they have had this discussion or this immigration point going on across our country with the level that it does cause a fear within their community. I'm aware, of course, and most people are probably aware, that we do have undocumented persons within our community, and I think it behooves us to try to find ways that we can make them become documented, help them become citizens, because they certainly are a beneficial part to our community. And I think recognizing that is a big step right from the get-go. I've been active on the United Cultures Board here in our community, which is a board that has worked towards trying to build relationships with the Latino population within our county, and I think we're making great strides in that, but I think we do have a long way to go. One of the features that we've had in the last 3 years was the Multicultural Fiesta, which highlighted the culture of different nationalities within our community, but more along the lines of what the highlights of the Latino community bring to us. So I think that we build relationships and try to improve the quality that is amongst all of our families within our community, and that's why I think that I would support that.
Jim Peterson, same question.
I would agree with Jim's comments. I think it probably does exist. I don't think it's nearly as bad as it was, say, a decade or 2 decades ago. Things have improved. And I also would like to say, if we could solve this issue here tonight, we should be running for national office, not county, because it's a problem all over the country. All I can say is from where I was employed the last 36 years, that was not an issue. It didn't matter what color the person was. They were willing to come in and do the job, and they could do it. It was equal pay, equal benefits. So I don't know how much there is in the county, but I'm always willing to look at it and try and look for ways to make it better. Thanks.
Ray, same question.
Well, I'd say there probably still is some racial inequality in the county, but I think I'll agree with Jim Peterson, it has greatly improved in the last 20 years. I know we have interviewed at the county, and we've hired some Latinos, and you know, they're good people, they're good workers. Everybody's good that works at the county right now. And you know, our church in Medelia was one of the first churches to have a black pastor, and so I do think it's the tone is getting better, and you know, I don't know, I guess I just would have to say that I think that Watonwan County realizes the importance of the Latino population. You know, we need them for our schools and for our factories and other jobs. I know in the Rural Center for Entrepreneurial Facilitation, where we try to help get businesses started, we have a more difficult time with the Latinos just because of some of the language barriers and understanding businesses and the laws to getting businesses started. But we're doing the best we can, and I think Watonwan County has greatly improved over the years.
Kathy, your turn.
You know, I have been in contact with other cultures for many years, working at the school, and also I live in Watonwan County, but I still do attend church in Mountain Lake, which is Cottonwood County, and over there we have a large population of Lao people. So it's been both Lao and Latino that I have gotten to know, and actually learned to dearly love many of them, because I've worked with them with the Lao people. I have helped to teach citizenship classes, and that is their biggest desire, is to become a citizen of the United States. And I think that's every one of them that has come here is looking for a better life. Whether it's Lao, Latino, or Guatemalan, I know they're Latino too, but different countries, that is their desire. They are coming here because of where they were was really, really bad. And I think we've gotten better about that. I think when, you know, way back when, we've looked at them as factory workers. And I see what's happening in Butterfield, St. James, and even Mountain Lake, where I go to church, that they are advancing themselves, and they are no longer just working at the chicken plant that they came to work at. They are working at Toro. They are trained to be welders. They are trained to do a lot of other fields, and many of their children are going on to further education. So I think we're getting better, but I think there will always be a sector of unacceptance.
Question number 3, we'll start with Jim Branstad. In light of recent events, what type of training and support should our local sheriff's department receive?
Well, I think the Sheriff's Department needs to go to classes that better equip them to handle diversity, better equip them to handle emergency situations that do require force, as to what level of force that they would need to apply, and try to apply a force that's not only safe for them, but also safe for the people that may be involved in that force. Equity training is, I think, essential. You know, I don't feel that our Sheriff's Department within the county is inadequate in that regard, but I think that more training is always important. And I appreciate the job that they do within our county, and I think it behooves us to make sure that they're getting the right kind of classroom training, the right kind of on-the-job training to better equip themselves to handle situations in regard to racial matters and in regard to anything that people might perceive to be as police overstepping their bounds. So I think it's important to recognize that there are things out there, our country seems to be moving in that direction, that they want their police departments, their sheriff's departments to be better equipped to handle situations that arise that create these kinds of problems. Thank you.
Jim Peterson.
Give them any type of training they want. Years ago, as mayor, I did have a few disagreements with our local police chief. We worked through those. It's a different time, it's a different place. These guys and women that do this job, my hat's off to them. It seems like in this day and age they're always wrong, no matter what they do. So any type of training that we could do to help them and benefit their job, make them better at their job, I'd be all in favor. Thank you.
Ray?
Well, I agree too that give them any kind of training they need, but you know, it all starts from the top down. I think we've got an outstanding sheriff in Jared Bergerman, and he's been around long enough and been a part of the community long enough that he understands a lot of the racial inequalities, and I don't feel there's that much in our county anymore. I just think that our sheriff's department has done an excellent job enforcing the laws of the state of Minnesota and Watonwan County. Thank you.
Kathy?
You know, I too will commend our local sheriff's department, Watonwan County Sheriff's Department. I think that equipment and training is very important, and I think we're looking, it's not too far off where we will be having the body cams on our officers as well. A little spendy, but probably very valuable in their jobs that they are asked to perform. I think that I agree with Ray that we do have a good chief in Jared, and I think that he probably grew up with a lot of the disparity that was going on when he was growing up himself here in the area. So I think training and equipment and encouragement. I'd like to see the police departments, the sheriff's department, all of law enforcement looked again as a good buddy to children, where children aren't afraid of them, aren't taught to be afraid of them, and no need to teach them to be afraid of them. I would like them to have that respect and to have that come back and be a way to look at that profession.
Dylan?
I agree with the rest of the commissioners. I think we have a great sheriff's department. I believe we have a great sheriff, Jared Bergman. He does outstanding work, and I got to know him, the sheriff's department and the deputies firsthand in that time working at the county, and they're a great group of people, and they're people just like you and I. You know, as people out in public, you know, oh, it's the cops, I'm scared. No, they're not. They're there to help you. Any training that they need, I feel that they should get it. I feel that they're well trained already, but if they need more training, then we need to provide it to them. I could not believe in my time working at the county just how many miles those squad cars got put on. And I mean, if they got a phone call or a complaint, they were looking into it. It wasn't hours later or anything like that. There's situations that have been handled promptly and in a timely manner. I really feel like if there's improvements that they feel that need to be made, then go ahead and make them. I'll leave it up to them. If they come to us and ask if they can receive certain training or anything like that, just go for it, you know, get it set up, you know. So, and in light of recent events with the pandemic and everything else like that, I feel like that they've been handling the situation properly too. I mean, every day it's a different story, and they seem to make it work day after day, so that's what I have on that.
Thank you. Question 4, we'll begin with Jim Peterson. If the state cuts dollars to the county for roads and other service areas, what would your plan be to deal with the reduced budget? If the state cuts dollars to the county for roads and other service areas, what would your plan be to deal with a reduced budget?
Before I answer that, I want to go back to the previous question. I did not realize that the county did not have body cams in their offices. To me, it's important to sidearm, as a taser, as their cop car. One lawsuit, and and that's paid for. Okay, now so I would be 100% in favor of that. If the state would cut funding, I'm not real sure. Hopefully, they have a little bit of slush fund in the county, but honestly, that you're catching me flat-footed on that one. I have no idea where it would come up with. I'm sure that's why you rely on your auditor. She seems like a very capable person, but like I said, I would hope every entity or every county and the city has a little slush in reserve in case that would happen.
Great.
Well, we have a five-year road and bridge plan that we implement and redo every year for the roads that need to be repaired. And some roads do have to be pushed back because there just isn't enough money coming from the state to repair them. A lot of times we just have to do a better job of trying to patch them and keep them up as best we can until the state does send the money necessary for it. But luckily, we've been able to do a very good job with what the funds we have had, and I feel that our county engineer is doing a very adequate job taking care of the roads and keeping them up. Thank you.
Kathy?
Well, there isn't a slush fund for roads. It would be Ray's right. We do have a 5-year road plan, and that is sometimes that isn't able to be followed because of one project taking a little more money or a lot more money than the other. But it is a plan that's out there, and try to follow it. If it's not able to get done in 1 year, then it's pushed to the next year. I think that it is one that kind of catches you flat-footed no matter what, because it is a big dollar figure. The highway department is a big dollar item. And right now we've been trying to improve the equipment that's out there, updated. A lot of it is back into the 90s. Devlin's worked on a lot of it.
I have.
And it's old, and we have that on a rotation basis, and I think that's a plus in our favor also. But the dollars coming in for the roads always seems to be a gamble, and it's one year to the next. You just don't know. So it is something that's juggled every year. We just transferred and played with some of that money at our last meeting.
Dylan?
Well, if the state was to cut funding, without a doubt, roads, bridges, and drainage systems are our biggest expense. If funding was to be cut, we would just have to make sure we prioritize our main roads for sure. You know, we have main gravel roads and we have main hard surface roads. And you know, if funding was cut, we got to make sure that our main routes of transportation are still taken care of, some way, shape, or form. If we do have to cut corners somewhere, and I hope we don't ever have to come to this. I hope this doesn't happen. But we just got to be wise in when we spend our money. I mean, if it means something's got to go a little longer, it's got to go a little longer. But with that being said, when something's World War, or you have a pothole or anything like that goes on, it's a simple fix at that time. You got to make sure you address that stuff in a timely manner. If you can't just keep letting these potholes get bigger and bigger, and the next thing you know, you got a bad road. You can't let a tile system keep getting worse and worse and more plugged up. It's not going to fix itself. So when the money's there, and the money's there for the project, we got to make sure that we're on top of the project and getting it accomplished in a time frame that's allowed.
Jim Bradston?
Well, we do have some reserves in the county for our general operating budget, and those possibly could be used if we find that the state does not adequately fund us. Our county engineer, Teal Spillman, has indicated to us that she thinks it could be anywhere from 10 to 15% reduction in aid for our roads and bridges. And as Dylan said, I think at that point you rely on your engineer to prioritize things and to see what areas that we can address that are most important to be addressed. You might put off purchasing any large pieces of equipment if you had to. So we've got the people that are capable of taking a look at what would have to be done, where the priorities would have to be, and what we can do to tighten our belts in the event that our funding does get reduced. Thank you.
Okay. Question 5 will begin with Ray. What role should the county play in the economic development of our area?
well, I think that the county should play the major role. And we do. We spend a lot of money on our CEF, the Rural Center for Entrepreneurial Facilitation, and you know, we're always looking at possibilities and ways of cooperating with the cities on economic development. And like I stated before, I just think we can't do enough in our county because we have so many kids that are forced to leave the county because they can't find employment locally. And I'm in favor of doing anything we can to bring businesses or start businesses and grow them into major businesses that can employ citizens of our county.
Kathy?
I feel the same way, and I think it's a sad thing to see the empty buildings in our community right here. And I think that as long as I've been on the county board, I think that the Watonwan County Board has worked very much hands in hands with the city of St. James with economic development and the EDA person who has been on a little bit of a rotation basis, but with that person in the community, bringing in an industry, I think would be the biggest highlight. And some of those things, some of those buildings out in the industrial park have been filled, begun to be filled up and redone so that they are usable again, and bringing in some forms of work for our people living in the communities. But I think it is a very top priority for the existence of our county.
Dylan?
Well, having not held this position before, I don't understand all the inside details of this work, but I do know when it comes to economic development, I know that there's improvements that can be made. People I know roughly around my age have come to this community and wanted to start a business of their own, and they've gone out to other towns, Truman, Tremont, other places like that, even Mankato. We always heard rumors of the Walmart distribution center being built here in St. James, and whatever happened to that? What was the reason? I mean, you know, we say, yeah, that'd be great. Maybe that is a big step for our community, but why didn't it happen? What was holding that up? There's other businesses that have tried to hold on in this town, and you know, we need to have our taxes too. I mean, to pay for projects, you can't just always say tax-free development, tax-free development. But at the same time, if them people bring that many more people in, and we get the taxes off the employee and everything else, and sales tax and collect on that, then we need to look at this tax-free development and get more of these businesses in here, into our county, into our community. And like I say, I might not have all the answers on that, but I am willing to learn. Thank you.
Jim Bradford?
Well, I think that economic development is front and center with our current board. I've been on the board for 4 years, and we do have people that come to speak to us, economic development people who work with the county, work with the city, and we're always looking for opportunities as to how we can develop more industry within our county, develop more jobs, but you also have to have workforce. And I think that's one of the things that we have to do is make sure that we have rural broadband within all reaches of our county in order to provide opportunities for that workforce. You know, a lot of people are moving outstate and moving into communities because they can work remotely and they can work from home. And if we can provide that kind of broadband support, I think that'll go a long way to helping us in terms of rural economic development. You know, there is also some discussion here and there that we hear about solar being put up. And I think that's important, but we also have to make sure that it's being done right. And we have to make sure that we have the infrastructure to move that power from one place to the next. So I think the county is always looking for opportunities. I think they're always keeping their eyes and ears open. What can we do to support? What can we do with our communities to help economic development to prosper? Thank you.
And Jim Peterson?
Absolutely. We do everything we can. But sometimes you just need to educate the people too. Just more, the average citizen going somewhere can help with economic development. I look at Medelia, we spent hundreds of thousands on economic development. And how we got La Plaza Fiesta was when we hired our then administrator, Dan Madsen, who was a law clerk at Watonwan. And he ate lunch every day at a restaurant that was owned by a man named Jose Herrera. Dan kept pestering Jose to come to Medina. Jose came over, saw the restaurant, said, I have to take a chance on this. He brought Crystal Hernandez in. So we had everything just grown off of her. And I don't think maybe it would, I don't think our microbrewery would be there. Crystal wasn't. Our Fox's Pizza, everyone just kind of thrives off of one another. So like I said, that was just a luck of the draw. So anyone can help you. You need to educate people. So be on the lookout and help give you ideas. Thank you.
Question number 6 will begin with Kathy. How important is collaboration? What areas is the county currently working on in the area of collaboration?
Well, one of the big ones is, I think, with our Human Services Department, because there is another, it's a high dollar area, but they've gone now just recently to, well, they've been with Caseworks for the last 3-4 years in-house, but with COVID happening, a lot of the workers, in fact, most of them were working from their home. And with that in light, they are just now with Caseworks also going to be doing that. It probably will be a permanent thing for a lot of the employees to work from home, as they found that it was a better thing. But in doing that, we've collaborated with several counties in the area to go with the Caseworks to keep the cost down. There are other collaborations in the community that many of you are well aware of, and some of the people here are very active in, and that is the collaboration with our youth to take care of our youth. The mental health and the out-of-home placement for our youth is very high and very costly. And there's a collaboration that has been in place where we've gotten the backpack program, we have a welcome baby, there are all kinds of programs that are after-school programs for the children that we're able to keep them active and keep them in their homes and give them another outlook at life. But those are collaborations on a small scale, but I think we're open to collaboration in anything that
Thank
can
you,
work
Kathy.
Thank you.
Dylan?
Well, tonight when I was told about this debate, this was one of the questions that I was afraid I wouldn't have an answer for. But like I say, I'm willing to learn, and I don't fully understand this question. I'm willing to learn, I'm willing to go for it, and I'm willing to make collaboration work the way it's supposed to if elected. Thank you.
Jim?
We currently do have a lot of collaboration that's going on within the county, as Kathy said. One of the things that comes to my mind is our communication system. The county spent quite a bit of money in the last couple of years updating that, and that is collaboration, working with fire departments, sheriff departments, police departments, EMT, so we have better communication when it comes to the time of having to need services that require emergency response. So that's one big area of collaboration. As I stated earlier, I'm on the Minnesota Rural Counties Board. All of the commissioners serve on various committees, various boards, and we're always looking for information that we can glean from other counties. When we go to state meetings and you get an opportunity to sit down with members from other counties, neighboring counties, you can enter into discussion that might lead to even more collaboration. So I think that we're really trying to seek as much collaboration as we can, because economically that is beneficial, and our county is really being supportive of those efforts. Thank you.
Jim?
Yeah, I have to agree with Dylan. If you're not involved in it on a daily basis, this is kind of a loaded question. But yeah, I don't know if there's pieces of large equipment that we have that could be purchased with other counties, and I'm guessing not, or would have been done already. The road sealing, I'm not sure if the county does that or outsources it, or if we work together with other counties. I'm sure there are many things that are being done and other things we can explore.
Great.
Collaboration is a big part of Watonwan County. We share a lot of things with other counties. We do share things back and forth with Cottonwood County for road work. We share a lot of things back and forth with Brown County for our soil and water conservation district. And ourselves, so, and neither can the smaller counties surrounding us. So when we have a vacancy, a lot of times the other counties will help give information to the new employee and help train them in and get them started.
Dylan, we'll start this question with you. In light of COVID-19, what role should the county have in dealing with the pandemic?
Well, I feel like the county should, myself, I feel like the county should have a major role in it. If that means making sure that the proper PPE is distributed to county offices and county districts and stuff like that, then the county should have that role if it gets to that point. I think that when it comes to COVID, I think, it's being left up to the individual, and the individual should be responsible for themselves. But if it gets to a point where, say, PPE gets tough to come by, say the food shelf needs more food brought in and everything else like that, if the county has to step in, then they should have to step in. I do feel like a little bit falls back on your own self. You should be able to take care of yourself to a certain point. I mean, if you feel you need something, and you have to go to the county to get that help, then the county should be there to provide for you.
Jim?
Well, I think the county plays a role in terms of just setting an example. We have our meetings online during the high COVID shutdown, and we were able to accommodate that. And now we are meeting in person, but we're doing it with social distance, wearing masks, and we're requiring masks as the state requires. And I think that setting an example is important to show that we are taking COVID-19 seriously. Like Dylan said, I think it behooves the county to supply PPE where they can. So we're looking at doing that on a routine basis, having an inventory of those types of items as another pandemic may or will develop in the future. I think what we also have to do, as I mentioned earlier, is to make sure that the CARES money that we did receive by way of COVID money coming from the federal government is appropriately spent to make economic impact in our county that improves the lives of everybody. Thank you.
Jim?
Yeah, the county needs to supply the PPE, especially to the workers, and any resident that would need it, but we're pretty much at the mercy of the state as far as most of the rules and regulations. I remember going through an exercise like this when I was mayor. What happens if something like this happens? What happens if you have to isolate your town and your county? And we all thought it was just a fairy tale. Well, it could happen, and I would hope that the Sheriff's Department and the county board has been working on if things would get worse, what they would do if they had to isolate. Other than that, I guess that's all I have.
Ray?
Well, I think it's great that we got that 1.3 million from the CARES funding, because that's going to help a lot with the businesses and the communities development that needs to be done for the COVID-19. And I feel that a lot of the regulations have come from the state, and we followed them as best we could. Like Jim said, sometimes we didn't have meetings, sometimes we phoned in meetings, and we did what we could with the state regulations that we had to deal with at the time. And I think the best thing we can do as a county is just set an example and wear your mask, wash your hands, and social distance. If we do that, that's the best thing we all can do.
Kathy?
Yeah, I agree with what everyone has said. I think that the county does have to be an example because they literally are at the top. But I think that we did do that, and I think that we had very willing and diligent workers putting things together in a moment's notice because it could change from one day to the next. And I think that goes along with expecting that of the county because it's like any other emergency. Emergency management has to come into play when there's a tornado or another type of disaster. This was right along that same line. I think that COVID has taught us all a lot, and I think it's you want to look for a silver lining in a disaster, and I think that there are some silver linings in the disaster, and we're still not there yet, but I think the county has to have the leadership and the wherewithal to see us through it.
Okay. Question 8, we'll start with Jim Branstad. When voting on issues, will you vote for special groups or communities or for the good of the entire county?
Well, I think we always try to vote for what's best for the county. One of the things that I've enjoyed in the 4 years working on our board is that we've come together on most issues. We do have a little bit of a disagreement. It doesn't affect how we might proceed the next item that's on the agenda. And I think that we've always worked together to try to be doing what's best for our entire county. Sometimes one individual community might come into play over another community because that happens to be what the item is on the agenda. But all communities are a part of the county, so therefore if you're helping a community, you're helping the county. And like I said earlier, the best way to it is to address things as a county improvement. Thank you.
Jim?
I definitely have to vote for what's best for the county, but that's all of our jobs is to represent your district as well. And if you think something's best for your district, that's your job to convince your colleagues that that's what's best for the county. But all in all, no, the county has to come first.
Okay. Ray?
Well, the population of our county is 11,000, so basically we are one community when you look at the surrounding counties and their populations. And I just feel that, you know, by helping the county, you're doing a service to your own community that you represent. Thank you.
Kathy?
I would vote for the county. That was very clear when I got on the board. I know that I say I represent the L on the west and south side of the county, but all in all, when we're all together, those pieces come together and we are one representing the county. And yes, sometimes it seems a little lopsided, but for instance, I was razzed a lot when a lot of the road work was being done in my district, believe me. But we waited and it was our turn, and now it's going to be someone else's turn. But we do work together to the good of the county, and that's what we're there for.
Dylan?
I would for sure vote for the good of the county. And I was also one of the ones that had called Kathy before about current and previous situations. So, you know, I'm prepared to take phone calls as well. You got to look at the big picture though. I mean, if there's a lot of little projects out there, a lot of little organizations, and they all want something. They all come to the county with wants and needs. And you got to vote for the good of the county. If it makes a group or a party, you know, that came to the county a little bit upset because they didn't get their way, well, you know, next time they bring their item forward, it might work out even better for them. If you don't vote in their favor of something that wants to be done, maybe it's because it doesn't fit the way things are being done at the time. You know, everybody does get their chance, but not everybody can have their chance right when they demand it. Like I say, I vote for the good of the county and the good of the people. And cost comes into play too. If you come in there and you just say, hey, you know, maybe maybe we want to move the mailboxes, you know, into a gang or something like that. And okay, do it, get it done, you know. But if it's a big expense item, we got to vote for the good of the county.
Jim Peterson, you'll be first for this question. The county fair has dwindled in attendance and support. How would you deal with this issue?
I don't know if there is a way to deal with that issue. It's just like church attendance. It's dwindling everywhere. We're not alone on that county fair. And I did some research. It's not a lot that we spend on it, and we do have to maintain the grounds and the buildings. But the way I was told, it's about $15,000. I'm not sure any additional advertising would help. There are less kids than there used to be. There's less, assuming, I don't know if there's less interest in 4-H. I hope not. I was a member of that for years. But I am not sure how we would get attendance back.
Ray?
Well, I would take exception with that statement. our fair has turned around and there are more people coming to it. It is growing, and I think it's a good thing because it's a good thing for the children of the county. As a 20-year adult 4-H leader myself, I see the good that it does. These kids, they bring their projects to the fair and they have to explain to a judge how they did it and how they work with their animals and their projects, and it gives them leadership skills. And I just think that the fair is one valuable commodity that we need to keep in Watonwan County.
Well, I think growing up, a fair was the thing to do in the summertime. And I think probably if there is a dwindling in the attendance at fairs, and Ray says, and I take Ray's word for it, he would know that the attendance has come up. I think it's probably because of the busyness that everyone has gotten involved in, and there are so many things going on in the summertime that people are stretched and doing other things at the time. But I will agree with Ray. I think that our 4-H children, I'm on the extension group board, and that is alive and well, and I think it's a great thing that they're reaching out to try to bring in families that have never heard of 4-H. We have groups through the last few years that are working with the non-English speaking families in our communities, and they're just loving coming into the groups, and it's a little harder to get their parents to come and connect, but it's a start, and sometimes it takes another generation to bring it into play.
I've been looking forward to this question. I've been a member of the Watonwan County Fair Board now for 5 years, and Jim Branstad's on there with me, and I head up the grandstand area, and I help put the tractor pull on. I feel like our attendance is growing every year, but with that being said, we've had some issues with weather. We've had some really, really hot days. We've had some monsoon rains and wind come in there, and it's just the luck of the draw. It's just the card we're dealt. We've had some years with some questionable weather here in the past 3 years, but we set a record on attendance at the tractor pull just 3 years ago that hasn't been set since about the mid-'80s. We've had record turnouts for that. We've had better turnouts in the beer gardens, and we've had 4-H is coming back. We've got a great program for the swine, and guidance west of Butterfield out there got a program going where these 4-H kids can buy pigs, and they come in there and they show these pigs, and he houses them for them and makes sure things are going good for them, and help rebuild these programs. The dairy is just kind of coming back. There's not any dairy in our county, but there are people showing dairy cows now, and I do feel, and goats, people just seem to be getting more goats all the time, and I don't know why, but they do. But I feel like we're making the right steps going forward at the county fair. We got some projects there.
Thank you, Dylan. Jim?
Yes, I also serve on the fair board, as Dylan mentioned, and we're always looking for ways to promote the fair, come up with new ideas that might bring in more people to our fair. Last year we had the donkey races, and people enjoyed it. And so we're constantly trying to find ways to make that to be a fair that's bigger and better. Our county population is a lot less than it was when I was a kid and going to the fair. But we're still wanting to promote that fair. We think it's good for our community, good for our county, and we're trying to do everything we can. The budget that the county does provide for the fair is $15,000 each year. That's a small amount of money to help keep that fair going, but that does keep our fair alive, and I think that all of us would continue to support that. And if we had to increase it a little bit, we would look into where can we come up with the dollars to increase that. But overall, I'm really pleased that we're able to keep our fair going, doing everything we can to keep it going. And like Dylan said, the things that hurt us the most in the last couple of years has been the weather. Thank you.
Great. The significant increase in the cost of construction materials, with the significant increase in the cost of construction materials, would you consider any type of tax abatement for the construction of new homes? If yes or no, why?
well, we'd have to change our abatement policy because currently homes are not covered under it. And no, I don't feel that. I feel that if you're going to build a home, you should build a home that you can afford. You shouldn't be building an excessive home that you need a tax abatement on. And thank you.
Kathy?
You know, that is one that thankfully is not in front of us right now, but it is, I've always thought abatement was for a disaster or some hardship and that kind of thing. If you, you know, not to put someone down because they can build a new home, but if that's part of planning to build that home, I guess I would not be able to say yes or no to that.
Dylan?
Having not ever dealt with a situation like this too, I don't really have an answer for that. But if that's what an abatement is for, is to provide relief in case of an emergency or something like that, I would agree with Kathy. If you have the means to build a new home, you have your home budgeted. And if you've got a budget to build a home, well then, you know, I don't see any extra breaks more or less for building a new home. I guess if they're going to cut you a break to build a new home, I guess we'd all be going out and building new homes if it was in our needs. But I don't think we need to provide breaks for a new home being built.
Jim?
Well, I think there's one area that we might be able to be of assistance to, and that would be to find ways to provide low-income housing. One of the things that we do lack within our communities when we do have new people arriving to work in our plants is finding adequate housing for them. I don't know if it would be under the rules of abatement. I'm not familiar with that program enough to know that that would be the route. But that might be an area where, through economic development, we could help encourage people to build housing that would be low-income housing with some sort of county support. Thank you.
And Jim?
Yeah, I've never heard of it in residential. I don't know if it's legal or not, but if it is, why wouldn't you? Because that home is going to be there for 50 to 100 years. If you give someone 7 years of payment, so what? I mean, a new home, very few are under $3,000, $4,000 a year in taxes. And if that would create 100 new homes in the county, I just don't see why we wouldn't consider it. Thank you.
Okay, due to the time frame, we are now going to ask each candidate to make a 1-minute closing statement and why you should be elected as our county commissioner. And we will start with Ray.
Well, I think I've done a very good job these past 9 years representing Adelia. And I feel that I've represented the county very well. I serve on a lot of committees and boards outside the county that I do the best I can to represent the county. And one thing we didn't get to talk about was the human services. I just feel that we've made significant headway. When I was first elected, we were number one county in the state of Minnesota for teenage pregnancy rate, and now we're number 9. And I would just like to say I'd like to see that work continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathy?
Thank you, Tracy. I feel that I've done a good job. I've had to learn a lot. I'll never forget the summer that I had filed. Actually, Dave Holmgren and I had filed, and it was when the JB 13 on Highway 60 was going to be built, and I have no clue what a ditch is. I got this thick book from Don Coleman, and he said, Kathy, I think you need to learn a little bit about ditches. This is in your area. And that started the learning curve, and the learning curve has continued. And that is my passion. I fear for my brain to die, I guess, but I want to keep my brain learning new things. And this has just been a different field that I have not ever thought I needed to know, but it's been very interesting. And I think I've been a fair player, and I've done my part in trying to learn all these new things. I too work on
Thank you, Kathy.
Okay, sorry.
Dylan?
Well, I would really like the chance to work for the people of Watonwan County. I feel like I can bring a lot of knowledge to the table on tile systems, drainage systems, roads, equipment, updating equipment. You know, I I know what equipment costs are, I know what repair costs are. I know what it costs to take them, I know what it costs to take a piece of machinery apart, I know what it costs to job something out. I have all that stuff down, I have a general knowledge of all that. As far as, you know, human services goes and things up at the courthouse, I'm hoping I can rely on the commissioners that are there to help guide my knowledge on that so I can help make the right decisions with them. But I do feel I have a lot of knowledge in other areas where maybe current seated commissioners maybe are lacking in them areas, and I'm lacking in the areas that they're specialized in. So I really would like a chance to work for you guys, the people of Watonwan County. Thank you.
Jim Branstad?
I'm running unopposed, but that doesn't mean I take your support lightly. All of our commissioners serve on maybe 5 to 7 different committees, and there's a learning curve when you get on these committees, as Kathy said, to find out what's available, what isn't available, what you can do to help support your county, what we can do to help support these activities that are going on within the county. And I feel like I've learned a lot while I've been on the board, and I want to continue that learning process. I think that my experience is beneficial to the board, and I've got the time to commit to it. And so consequently, I ran for re-election because I felt that I could be a positive influence in helping our county be a better place to live. Thank you.
And Joe Peterson?
I bring 8 years, 9.5 years of experience to the board, not county, but municipal or city experience. I would love to give this a try. I don't think a change ever hurts anything. Maybe a new set of eyes looking at things can be beneficial at times. I also, too, have the time. So I'm retired now, only working a couple days a week, and doing as much as I want, but I would have all the time it's needed to take care of this job. I appreciate your vote very much. Thank you.
Thank you, and that will conclude this portion of our candidate forum. Please be sure to watch the public access channels on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and to look at social media for YouTube times and locations. Thank you.